Hi, I'm Christine Tizzard. I am the three-way chef. I got a request from my very good friend Michelle to do cabbage. So I'm going to show you, for everyone out there that doesn't know how to cut a cabbage or what to do with one of these. You peel back any kind of limp leaves, anything that's kind of bruised that you don't want, you can discard those. You see there's a stem or core on it, so I'm going to trim that and take that off. And typically I'm going to I like to quarter it first, so I'm going to cut it into 4. So I cut it in quarters, and there's a root end here, and this is really tough. I'm just going to cut the root end out of the cabbage. And then I can thinly slice the cabbage, so depending on how big the cabbage is, you can quarter it more, so you have a smaller piece of cabbage to work with. And then I'm just going to thinly slice my cabbage. The first recipe is simple stir-fry cabbage. First thing you need is a really hot pan. I'm going to use a cast iron. I want to get it super hot, almost to the point where it's smoking, which is exactly what I want right now. I'm going to add my oil. So you want an oil that has a nice high smoke point. So you can use avocado oil, you could use grapeseed, because we want to get this nice and hot, and we want to get some color on this cabbage. Have my cabbage. I'll add. So I've added my cabbage. This is if you want to do a really big portion of this, like to feed a crowd, I would do it in 2 batches because I want to get color on it, so I don't want to overcrowd the pan. So I have my cabbage, nice even coating on the bottom of the pan. I will season it, really good pinch of salt, pepper, and we'll add our caraway. So caraway seeds, a nice pinch, about a teaspoon. Just that nice combination of caraway and cabbage, very traditional flavor pairing. And this is a very simple dish, simple flavors. The thing that makes this so good is just getting some color on the cabbage. So just let it go. Don't fiddle with it too much. Just let it sit in that heat for a while and get some color. So that's exactly what we want. We want almost like little charred bits of cabbage in here, which is great. It's gonna, make it taste so good. I'll turn it down a little bit, and I'll finish it with a nice knob of butter. And let that kind of melt in there. And I'll also finish it with just a little bit of lemon juice, just to perk up the flavor just a little bit. And there you have it. We have really easy, super simple stir-fried cabbage. It's a great side, or you can eat this like a meal, like my daughter does. She loves this. She just gobbles it up. Let's see. Nice. My second recipe for cabbage is we're going to be roasting cabbage. And I don't know if you guys, roasting cabbage is actually fairly new to me. I never would have thought of roasting it, but it makes perfect sense. I'm going to use purple cabbage today. Purple cabbage is actually, I think, healthier for you than the green cabbage. It's purple, it's darker in color, so it makes sense that it might be better for you. And I also love the color of it. It's a beautiful purple color, and what we want to do is we are going to cut this into wedges. So I am going to leave the stem attached right now. I'm just going to trim it off, and I'm going to use the flat part on the bottom of the board, and then I'm going to cut it into some beautiful wedges, and so then everyone can get a wedge of this beautiful roasted cabbage on their plate. So, that's 4 servings right there, and I'm just going to get the cabbage over here. Look how beautiful this purple color is. So, what would be the major difference between cabbage and red cabbage and green cabbage? Would we Google it? Exactly what I thought. It's the anthocyanins, right? Which is what gives blueberries their purple color. Anthocyanins are good for our antioxidants, which is why we want to eat blueberries, purple things. This is great. It also has a more peppery flavor than the green cabbage too. And it's denser in texture, which is great for these roasted wedges because it's going to help them kind of stay together for serving purposes. So we have these little guys here. I'm going to drizzle them with some olive oil, right? Nice coating of that. We will, of course, salt and pepper them. And I'm gonna be like a bugger here and actually like take my time and do this and coat both sides with the oil. Beauty. More salt. I'm also gonna throw some fresh thyme leaves over top so they can roast with the thyme, and then we'll pepper up these guys. And this is gonna go in a really nice hot oven, so I've preheated my oven to a good roasting temperature, 425, 450. We'll throw them in depending on like the size of the wedges. I would say they'll take anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes to cook. These guys are sort of small, so I'm thinking 15 to 20 minutes. So you just want to check them. And I'm going to pop these in the oven, and then I'm going to show you a very simple vinaigrette that we'll finish these with. So we'll let these roast, and then for a simple vinaigrette to finish everything, all I'm gonna do is I have my lemon juice here because I mentioned earlier that lemon juice is really, really great, or even apple cider vinegar or white wine vinegar. Anything to perk up the flavor after is great. I'll add my olive oil and some more of that fresh thyme. A little bit of salt. Not too much because we've already salted them anyways. A little bit of pepper, and then you can put this aside, and once those wedges are done, you can plate them and drizzle this over top just to enhance the flavor. So we'll wait till these wedges are done, and then I'll show you what they look like. They look so pretty on a white plate. These roasted cabbage wedges are so nice. I'm even thinking like it's such a simple recipe, but they would be perfect for entertaining. Stack them all on a really nice white plate. They have really beautiful little charred bits. Everyone can have a bit of cabbage on their plate. And then I'm gonna finish it with that lovely little dressing of just fresh thyme, olive oil, and lemon juice. Just drizzle it on. You can have some on the side if people want more. And then, of course, I'm gonna garnish it with like, you know, sprigs of fresh thyme, just throw it on there, make it something super simple and just making it really nice and elegant. I love it. There you go, roasted purple cabbage wedges. I can't wait to dig into these. My third recipe is a cabbage soup. So this is one of my favorite recipes. This is a soup that I grew up on as a little girl. My mom's best friend, Kathy Parsons, used to make this soup, especially for us around Halloween. So I grew up calling it Halloween soup, but it's kind of just an East Coast cabbage goulash. So let's start. I have all my ingredients here ready to go. I have my mirepoix, I have my stock, I have my ground meat. I'm going to use ground bison. I have my cabbage, some tomato base for flavors, and some seasonings. And we're ready to go. So I've browned the onion a little bit. So you want to let your onion cook over a nice medium-high heat because you do want to have some color on it because that color is going to equal flavor. So we're just building layers of flavor on, into this soup really quickly. So I have my onions. I'm going to add my mirepoix. So I have my celery, my carrots. I also grew up eating a lot of green peppers. So I'm going to add green peppers to this as well. My potatoes. And as you can see, all of these things are cut the same size, which means everything's going to cook evenly. So you're not going to have some crunchy vegetables and some super soft vegetables. It should all be nice and tender. So we're going to let that go. I'm going to season this now because we're also building flavors. So I also want to season as I go. So I'll season it with my salt and my pepper. So I'm just going to let these vegetables saute for a little bit, 3 to 5 minutes. I want them to soften slightly before I add the other ingredients, and this mellows out the flavor a little bit and also builds on that flavor, which is going to make this soup super tasty. I'll add my cabbage. So, I mean, cabbages come in so many different sizes, so this is a half of a small head of cabbage. I'm going to add some seasonings. So I like parsley in soups, but when I'm adding parsley and I want to use fresh parsley, what I do is I chop up the little stems instead of the leaves. And I don't know, I find that these little stems just give a nice little texture, additional texture to the soup. So my parsley stems. And here I have a combination of some dry herbs. I have paprika, which is going to help with the color, and I have a combination of I think I have Savory and oregano in here, which is also really great. Savory, I grew up using a lot of savory in cooking growing up. So we have our spices in there. We'll add our tomato paste. So this is a can of tomato paste. And what I'm gonna do, actually, if I can do this now, is I'm gonna move some of these vegetables over and I'm gonna try to get that paste into the bottom of the pot. I just wanna cook the paste a little bit. This is, some people say you're browning the paste, and you're just caramelizing the flavors of that already concentrated tomato paste. So we'll just let that simmer for about a minute before we add the other ingredients. Tomato paste is browned, and now I'm gonna add a can of tomatoes. You could add whole tomatoes, you could add crushed tomatoes. I managed to find at the grocery store yesterday actually fire roasted canned tomatoes, which is perfect, so more flavor, great. Add that. If you can your own tomatoes, you could use your own canned tomatoes. We can add that lovely ground bison. And then we will finish it with our stock. Once again, whatever type of stock you have on hand, beef stock would be great, pork stock, chicken stock, vegetable stock, whatever you have going on, just use it up. And you just want to make sure you just cover all of those vegetables, just like that. And now we just let that simmer, and I'm just gonna let it simmer until the vegetables are just tender. It can take anywhere up to 20 minutes. If you chop the vegetables smaller, of course, it'll cook faster. So it's great. Everything's just throwing in one pot. It's a nice big pot of soup, and everyone in the whole family will love this. So this soup had been simmering for about 20 minutes and it just looks so beautiful. I cannot wait to dig into this. So many really great flavors with this cabbage soup. Oh, it's gonna be so good for dinner. And then we have our two other amazing simple cabbage recipes. So there you have it, guys. 3 ways to do cabbage. If you like what you saw today, like, subscribe, please comment, let me know if you have an ingredient, a recipe you want me to do 3 ways. I love your comments, so keep them coming in. And I wish you were here so you could have some of this soup with me because it smells so good. All right, bye.